Mama. I'm Courtney Cecil, proud mom of two boys and an organizational culture and behavior change executive. And I'm a believer in building a movement to help the burned out, overwhelmed working moms reclaim their control and free time so that they can confidently remain in the workforce without losing the sanity or themselves. Now, let's get started.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another snack-sized episode of Life Management System. So inside this episode, we're going to talk about how to fix your own sleep if it tanked after kids. And for those of you watching on YouTube, I'm very proud to show off my Steelers shirt. I normally spend my Sundays at the Carolina Panthers games, but today I get to go back to my roots. So I grew up in southwestern Virginia in a small town called Tazewell. And Tazewell, at the time that I was growing up, our closest city, our closest NFL team was the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I am a very hardcore, lifelong Steelers fan, and I'm anxious to be sporting our colors today. So before I get into the meat, I'm going to pause and ask if you have listened to this before, if this is not your first episode and you're getting something out of them, can you please do me and your friends a solid and share the episode with them, share the podcast with them, share your favorite, subscribe, rate and review me. It goes a long way to helping me get this off the ground. Okay, so to get into the meat of this episode, first, I want to share a little bit about my journey. So, if you are anything like me, which many, many moms are, you probably suffered from insomnia and discomfort and that sort of thing throughout pregnancy. It was never good. And then after you get out of pregnancy, most people just think about the sleep that you're not going to get by nursing and comforting a newborn. But it's not just that, it's those postpartum hormones. They suck. um, and then even when your newborn starts to sleep, the amount of availability you need to still dedicate to kids at night well into the toddler years completely disrupted me. So once my boys were finally consistently sleeping and consistently sleeping later, it still took me about 2 hours, kid you not, 2 full hours to fall asleep at night. And then I'd wake up in the middle of the night, most nights, not every night, but most nights. And it was because my body was conditioned to crap sleep. It just was not, it had been so long since it had had quality sleep. And as you learn, when you learn about newborn sleep, sleep begets sleep. So because I wasn't getting good sleep, my body wasn't allowing me to get more good sleep. It just did not happen. So I knew that sleep was very important and actually downright critical to health. And because it was important to health, it became important to me. So, I like to start episodes on why something matters. Okay, why does sleep matter so much to your health? Well, first of all, beyond the obvious, resetting from your day and giving you more energy and concentration, it also helps you manage stress and therefore manage weight. And my cortisol has been higher. I run high stress, and it's because I run high stress that I concentrate so much on figuring out how to manage it. And that high stress, that high cortisol causes weight gain and causes you to hold on to belly fat specifically. But also, uh, good sleep helps with hormone regulation, which is very important and critical to us as females, and helps boost your immune system. It also makes you more emotionally and cognitively resilient. So think about the way that you react and process things when you have quality sleep versus when you're running on empty. So often, moms also believe or have the misconception that they're not getting and caring for their health because they're not working out. But I'm here to tell you that most nutritionists will encourage you to get sleep and get quality sleep over exercise. When you think about Maslow's hierarchy of pyramids, sleep is a higher or a low, at the base of the pyramid. Sleep falls at the base and therefore is more important than actually working out. And I think about my mom and my aunt and my sister who all had older kids. And I mean, we've outgrown, they have outgrown at the time, um, any need to really not be able to sleep, but yet they weren't able to. And I refused to let that be me because I know it was so important to my health. So I want to share with you what I did about it. And before I get into it, I want to preface I'm not a health expert. I'm certainly not a health expert, but I have put a lot of time, money, and energy into figuring this out. And I want to share a little with you about my journey. So, the first, I cannot stress the importance of getting your children to sleep on their own. And it is because that is such a critical part of your own sleep that the very first guest I will ever have will be next week with my friend Jensen Casey. She's a sleep coach for children. And so she's going to be my very first podcast guest ever. And inside that, we're going to talk about how you won't skip a beat during daylight savings time with your kids and why sleep for kids is so important. But again, it's not just for them, it's for you too. If your kids are not sleeping, you inherently will get crap sleep. Those two go together. Okay, so let's talk about the things that I did. The very first thing I did was actually tell my general practitioner. And I was so desperate. I said, I need to fix this. Something's got to give. And she said, let's stop the bleeding. And the way she wanted me to, or the way she suggested to stop the bleeding is by giving me a drug called trazodone. So trazodone is and was tested to be able to improve mental health. I think that they ended up not putting it on the market for that, but learned that it did help people sleep. And it did. It helped me get really, really, really critically deep sleep. But the problem is it also made me feel really hungover when I woke up. It put me in such a steep trance that I had a hard time getting up in the mornings. And even when I cut the milligrams, I cut the pill in half, so I was getting less milligrams, it was still too much for my system. I was not digesting it fast enough to be able to easily wake up in the morning. So I used it and used it sparingly, but it was enough to give me a little bit of a kickstart. And then once I realized that that was not serving me well and I needed to find something else, I actually, ironically, was also switching my allergy medicine from Zyrtec, which worked better. My body reacted to Zyrtec well, but switched it from Zyrtec to Xyzal. So if you take seasonal allergy medicine, something like Claritin or Allegra or Zyrtec, I encourage you to consider Xyzal. So it's spelled Xyzal. It has a little owl on it if you've seen the commercials. And I encourage you to take it at night, about 45 minutes before you want to lay down to bed. Xyzal has really helped quite a bit. Absolutely don't take it if you don't need or don't have seasonal allergies and you're not already taking something. But if you need to take it, consider Xyzal. It used to be prescription only and now is off the shelf. So give that a try. And then beyond that, here are the things that I have either learned on my own or that my nutritionist had me start concentrating on. So the first thing is you need to reset your circadian rhythm. And this is the thing that will take a little bit longer to actually activate, but it's going to make an immense difference. So, what I mean by that and how you do it, I need you going to bed at the same time every single night. And I need you getting up at the same time every single day. And then as soon as you get up, I need you to go straight outside for 10 minutes. So I used to, when I would wake up, I would sit there and slowly scroll through my phone. So that way I would start getting more energy and be ready for the day. But my nutritionist insisted, nope, Courtney, you need to go outside and do that outside. If that's what you want to do, if you want to be on your phone, go through your emails and whatever came through at night, that's fine. But I need you doing it outside. And the kicker here too is it's important you don't do it wearing a hat or sunglasses. And that was hard for me, especially over summer. I have blue eyes, so that sun is really, really hard on my eyes. But it is the full exposure that helps your body reset. And then if you're being extra ambitious and you have the time, it's also advantageous to also take a 10-minute walk or just be outside when the sun is setting. The other thing that can help you that is more natural is what's called legs up the wall in the for the yogis out there, which I am not. I dabble in yoga, but I certainly am not somebody who regularly practices. But legs up the wall, you should Google it for starters. But essentially, it is you scooting your butt as close as possible to the wall and putting your legs straight up. It's a good stretch for your hamstrings. I learned that too. But legs up the wall is specifically geared to help your lymph nodes, your lymphatic system be able to drain. And my nutritionist said, do this about 2 hours before bed. And the reason being, because it's clearing and draining your lymphatic system, it will probably cause you to have to pee. And you want to be able to completely empty your bladder before you go to bed so that waking up to a full bladder is not happening, because that's clearly not going to help your sleep either. So another thing is taking magnesium glycinate. And my nutritionist recommended pure. So magnesium, it's fine for most people to take, but by all means, contact your general physician if you're worried. The glycinate is the important part. There are different types of magnesium. You want that kind. So again, I used pure and it's a magnesium glycinate. I'm going to link that in the show notes to Amazon, easy to order. I also tried a topical magnesium oil. Now, I'll warn you that the topical oil will burn if you are too aggressive with how much you put on. You just need a little bit. Don't be over generous with it. That's another thing I'm going to link in the show notes. So that magnesium helps the body naturally get into sleep. The next thing that I swear by more than any other anything ever, in fact, it is the first time I've ever felt so passionate about something that I actually asked for an affiliate code and a coupon code for you all. And that's the Apollo wearable. So Apollo is a neuro tool that essentially it's a bracelet that your anklet that you put it on your ankle and it vibrates and essentially tells your brain, hey, you need to do whatever it is that you're wanting it to do. So that vibration, that consistent pattern will eventually condition your brain to know what it is you're trying to tell it to do. So I use my Apollo when I'm trying to go to sleep. I have a sleep I there's what it is you put it around your ankle and it'll start to vibrate. You turn it on using an app on your phone. And when I'm going to sleep, I will turn it on. If I wake up in the middle of the night, on the rare occasion I do now, which is fantastic considering I used to all the time, I will click the button again. You can do that. You can just hold down a button on the wearable itself so you don't actually have to touch your phone again. And then I will also click the energy setting when I wake up. I don't consume caffeine essentially ever. So the energy setting has actually helped me quite a bit be able to rejuvenate for the day. So if you're interested in this, I highly recommend it. It will take between 3 to 6 months to really activate and condition your brain, though. This is not a quick fix. It is an investment. It's a significant financial investment, a couple hundred. Um, so it's not for everybody, and I get that because there is a steep price to it. But I've got you a coupon for $60 off, and that is Courtney 4, like the number 4. And the link itself, my affiliate link, is apolloneuro.com/Courtney Anderson. So I've got that in the show notes. I highly recommend this though for anybody who wants something that's not invasive. You're not putting anything in your body. It is consistent and it will help you actually get deep sleep. And deep sleep is the restorative sleep you actually need. So, love the Apollo Neuro. The other thing is white noise. Now, I actually prefer brown. And if you have never heard brown noise versus white, I recommend you give that a shot. The app that I use to access brown noise is Soundly Sleeping. It's a purple colored app. But Soundly Sleeping, it's free. You can test the difference between white noise and brown noise and pink noise and green noise. White noise is a little bit more staticky, whereas brown is a little bit calmer. But I also just use a white noise machine. I have one in my house, in my right beside my nightstand. That white noise blocks out the heavy breathing of my husband and the dog and the baby monitors and that sort of thing. So it has helped me not startle awake by some other noise in my house. I also was pretty diligent about sleep meditation when I was trying to retrain my body in those earlier days. So you can Google sleep meditation if you have the Peloton app. I loved Dr. Chelsea Jackson Roberts. She does a full body scan that you can access on the Peloton app. Some people use Calm and other type of meditation apps, but that's sleep meditation, most specifically a full body scan, where they're telling you and encouraging you to process every single piece of your body to where it essentially trains your mind to concentrate on falling asleep as opposed to a busy mind. So that worked well for me in those early stages. Now I don't need to bother with it, which is fantastic. Because I think I actually had some form of sleep anxiety. I was so anxious about my ability to fall asleep because I struggled with it so much. And I think the sleep meditation specifically helped me overcome some of that anxiety because it focused my brain more on something mechanical as opposed to, oh crap, how long is it going to take me now to fall asleep? I also started using a weighted blanket, and I am shocked at what a difference it made. I love Bearaby. If you haven't heard of Bearaby, it is a good looking blanket. You can get it from Pottery Barn, which is how I learned about it, but it's cheaper and more accessible on Amazon. Plus, you don't have to foot the shipping charges. So I have put a link to that in the show notes as well. Um, I've got a pink one. It goes really well with my setup, but they have different colors and it is a classy looking blanket. I just got the 10 pound. I think that most people will probably benefit from the 15. If you've ever slept with one that's too heavy, I knew I didn't want that. But I am right under 120 pounds and the 10 pound works for me. But I think I wish I would have gone 15, and it's probably what most people need. Okay, the other thing I do is I tuck my shirt in really tight around my body. In fact, I actually find really tight fitting tank tops because that hugging helps. That hugging, there's something calming about that hugging of really tucking your shirt in tight around you. And it sounds so silly, I know, but think about it. It's exactly what we do with our newborns when we swaddle them. We tuck them in tight. There's a reason for that. It works. Um, then the other and last thing that I'll talk about is the auto sleep app. So the auto sleep app it's just a couple extra bucks, but it's been very helpful for me to track my actual deep sleep. So regardless if you use that or the health apps that come standard on your phone, I recommend you get a baseline now before you start trying to fix your sleep so you can actually see the improvement. Because for me, I went consistently between 15 and 45 minutes of deep sleep, which is really not a lot, to now consistently absolute minimum 1.5. I tend to hover around 2 hours, and 2.5 is really the goal. So I'm still working to get there. Part of my problem is I don't give myself enough opportunity to sleep because I'm trying to run and start this business. But that's a problem for another day. That has nothing to do with the quality of sleep I have trained my body to get. So last but not least, if you are entering perimenopause, so many people do not consider IUDs, but it is worth considering an IUD to help you manage your perimenopause to menopause type symptoms, all of which will disrupt your sleep. So talk to your OB about that the next time you go visit your regular gynecologist. But in the meantime, if you're interested in getting more of this action, I would love for you to join me on my distribution list. You can sign up by going to www.workingmomsmovement.com/time-wasters. I've got that linked in the show notes. That will take you to the top 10 things that most people waste time on every week. And yes, of course, it includes the simple and obvious things like social media or Netflix binging, but most of them are things that you probably won't think about. Things like procrastination, which I talked about in the last episode of the life management system. So if you like what you're hearing, share with a friend, subscribe, rate and review us. I know I say that all the time, but it truly makes an immense difference for this really small podcast and really small business as I try to get it off the ground. But until next time, friends, if nobody's told you lately, you're doing a great job. You've got this, Mama.